Two friends, Alan Dale and Jerry Carew, who grew up just a few streets apart in St. John's East End, have been separated by Canada's geography for 3 decades. They came together virtually during the pandemic to chat about like-minded interests. Alan lives in PEI and Jerry in Newfoundland. Thriving in remoteness has been a common theme for both of them during the pandemic. Gale Force Wins, the podcast is the result.
And welcome to another episode of Gale Force Wins. I'm Alan Dale, and with me, as always, my good buddy from St. John's, Newfoundland, Jerry Carew. How are you, Jerry?
I'm doing really well. I got to tell you, Alan, our guests are incredibly important. And tonight, I'm excited because it's tonight on the East Coast. Our guests are on the West Coast. The sun is still shining. I think a third guest in this episode tonight is the ship, the bridge itself. Lynn and Pascal, I'm excited to hear your story, but I think the setting is certainly something that makes me excited about this particular episode. Alan?
Absolutely, Jerry. We do one podcast per month for the Royal Canadian Navy, and quite honestly, that's a real privilege for us at Gale Force Wins. We're honored to have that task, to do that for the Navy, to showcase the sailors of the Canadian Navy, the people that are out there doing the business at sea on behalf of our country. And tonight, such a special night for us because we're going to broadcast right from the bridge of Her Majesty's Canadian ship Winnipeg. And we're going to talk to two very important people on that ship. We're going to talk to the present coxswain and the incoming coxswain of the ship. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Pascal?
Good day, everyone. I'm Chief Officer Pascal Harel. I'm the current coxswain of HMCS Winnipeg. I joined the ship last year in February, just before COVID, and then we deployed in the Asia Pacific for almost 5 months deployment, which was challenging because of COVID.
Right. And Lynn, why don't you introduce yourself?
Good evening. My name is Chief Officer Line Laurendeau. I'm currently at Base Administration at CFD Esquimalt, the unit chief over there. And I'm excited to come and replace my good friend here, Pascal, in a little while.
That's fantastic. For the third time, okay. So, Pascal, where are you from originally?
So I'm from Baie-Comeau, Quebec. I joined the military. I was 19 years old. I did a little bit of college, a year and a half of college, and then I joined in 96, so 25 years ago. From there, I went to Halifax for a little bit for language training and because French, and then from there moved to the West Coast, became an electrician, marine electrician. So I was in the technical world for a while. Sailed mostly on the West Coast. Did the old tanker. I sailed on Regina, HMCS Regina quite a bit. From there, I went to the school back and forth, and eventually I went to sea training. I went to NPTG HQ. I went to Ottawa as career manager for the Martech, the new Martech trade, and then came back. Went to base admin, and then Lynn took over from me from there again. And then where I came to HMCS Winnipeg last year for deployment. I deployed numerous times on the in the Persian Gulf, around Africa, and the last time around the Asia Pacific for a COVID deployment that I call it. Lynn, she replaced me as the coxswain on the MCDV, so I still the smaller ships also there and the previous ranks. So that's her third time replacing me.
So you've packed a lot into 25 years. That's incredible.
Yeah, quite a bit of sailing.
and a rapid movement to the coxswain of a ship. Well, that's fantastic. Lynn, how about yourself? Where are you from?
So originally I'm from Saint-Roch-des-Aulnay, which is in Quebec, and spent my youth there. At 21, I joined the Canadian Armed Forces, more specifically the Navy, as a NACOP, Naval Acoustic Science Operator. From there, I done my training here on the West Coast, Victoria. As well, I went and done some training on the East Coast. From there, the first ship I had was at HMCS Annapolis and a steamer. So I got the joy of sailing on steamers, which I feel very privileged about that. I've done pretty much all the ships on the West Coast except Protector and Regina. Throughout,
You did that one.
and I've done a lot of training on the East Coast because I'm an operator background. I also deploy a lot. I got a lot of time at sea, which as a sailor, obviously, I love sailing. And I also went to Ottawa, Kingston. I've done a lot of schooling to help myself personally and professionally. Got the chance to do the NAPDP, which is your non-commissioned member executive program. And I got not too long ago, 2 years ago, a degree in military art and science from RNC.
Wow.
The first time then I met Pascal was on the Edmonton because I took over as coxswain, and that friendship carried out all those years, which led us to meet last year at base administration in Esquimalt. And a year later, guess what? Third time lucky, I'm meeting him again and taking over his unit. So all this to me, it's priceless, and I couldn't be happier to take over from someone I know.
I know where you're going next.
So Lynn, that's a very exciting time to be taking over as coxswain of one of Canada's incredible frigates, the Winnipeg, and I'm sure a fantastic crew on board. Tell me what's going through your mind right now. Like what are you excited about?
To achieve in 20 years my dream job,
Right.
being coxswain on board one of our patrol frigates. It's priceless because we all aim to achieve that the position, and this is exciting.
Yeah.
And what makes it even more exciting to me is knowing the person I replaced, because big shoes to fill, I'll be honest, but taking from a friend, I couldn't ask for any better.
Right.
So I got a lot of emotions. I'm happy. And I'm happy for Pascal as well, because, he did quite well for himself. Ultimately, I couldn't have it any better.
Wow. You couldn't summarize it any better than that. That's fantastic. So Pascal, you're leaving that top job, that dream job. And tell me about how you're feeling, and tell me about your experience over the last couple of years, in that role.
I came on board Winnipeg, and then when we did our change of command at that time, everybody was saying Winnipeg is the best ship in the fleet, and what makes the best ship is the people that are on board and the morale, right? So everybody's saying it's the best ship, and I was kind of worried a little bit, like, it's the best ship. What if I leave and it's the worst ship? What if people say that, right? But no, I came on board, and then right after I came, COVID hit. So that was really difficult getting ready for the deployment, because right away we were going to deploy. There's a period where you have to prepare for deployment, where you do your training, and then you get ready. And then once you're ready, then you deploy. So we deployed in August, but the preparation for it in the COVID environment was really, really challenging. But it was good. We had a good crew. Everybody that wanted to sail was on Winnipeg because they knew that ship was sailing, and then it was an awesome crew. So I wanted to keep it that way. Same time, the command team, the CO had been here for a long time, 3 years already, which is really young for a CO. So I was like, I hope, he's had 3 coxswains already, so I hope I don't screw that for him. And then we were getting a new XO. But coming in play, I always, take things not lightly, but I try to be more easygoing, I would say, than the average, disciplinarian or whatnot. Just because I like to make good communication with the personnel. I like to get to know them. I like to, create that relationship so that it can come and talk to me. So I did that, and then being COVID and we left the deployment, I think with no ports, by the way, that's what the COVID deployment means, is you couldn't stop it. Well, stop in countries, but you were secluded to the jetty, basically. We're not allowed up the jetty.
Wow.
And, it's very difficult. Usually most sailors these days, they want to see the world. They want to see everything that, that's why they join. They want to see things, and they couldn't do that. So it's really hard on morale. And so we had to entertain them. So it's not just, on the Navy, on the ship, you're sailing. So you're going 24 hours a day, right? The ship doesn't stop to say, hey, everybody, take a break here. It's the night or whatnot. It goes. So you do your watches or whatnot for most of the, the crew, but it's hard to get a break. And then we were able to manage, I got lucky because I did have an amazing command team in the end. The CO was amazing. He was a people person. He cared about the sailors. So did the XO. And then at the same time, the three of us, I think we did phenomenal. But our communication together, I think we gelled right away because the CO was more, he was somebody that's more like a resilient type of person that, will follow things, and he will sit back before anything happens or makes a decision, and then he'll make his decision. The XO, she was a little more, hot-headed, but she was great. Like her and I, we got along right away. If I said something, we understood each other right away, and we didn't have an issue. So usually most coxswains, that's what they dread, is that not get along with the XO because it's the person you have to work with every day, all day. So we got along right away. So that was great for that. The deployment, we made it work. We got into the ports. We entertained personnel. Obviously we did some parties and things like that, but because we had to do something for sure, because people could not leave and they could not take a break, our mental break, and just say, okay, I have seen enough people, I'm done here, which is very difficult to do on the ship. But when you're gone for 5 months, it's something else. I think we did really good. The whole deployment, I think people were on board. If we asked people to help to come up with ideas and do things and entertainment, like Sundays on Sunday or poker tournament or things like that, people stepped in right away to help. So that's the type of crew we have.
Yeah, sailors are great. They'll lean in. They'll get things done. They'll find a way to entertain themselves. Lynn, Pascal spoke a lot there about the command team, and he kept repeating the command team. Explain that to the audience, exactly what that is and the importance of those three people on board the ship.
The way I see it, it's a partnership, right? You've got three people at the head of a unit, which consists of your commanding officer, your CO, and who's a commander. You've got your executive officer, who's the second in command, lieutenant commander, and you've got the representation of the non-commissioned members, your NCOs, as your chief. So the chemistry, if you're very fortunate, like Pascal had the luxury to have, makes a difference because you have to work together. At times you will never see eye to eye, but if you are working together for the same common goal, this make the success of a team, right? So if you're not in sync and you're not able to see eye to eye, or there's a conflict we cannot be worked out, that's where the challenges become, right? Because at the end of the day, the unit welfare is quite critical. So if the top is not seeing eye to eye, then there's always that chance, and your crew will feel it. Right. So that's why I'm saying that he was extremely lucky and fortunate. he thinks he did well, but obviously he did very well, in my opinion. Maybe a little biased, but I think the command team is critical. It's a critical piece to the success of the unit, because you've got your members who do the work, but they have to be led by a good team.
Right.
And I got a question related. When that's you know, Alan and I get that. We talk to a lot of leaders like yourselves, and that's really important. On that leadership piece, Pascal, you know, you've been leading the non-commissioned members. Lynn, how many of the non-commissioned members are retained? Is the CO, XO, like, is there like a clean sweep and a whole bunch of new people? I'm not that familiar with that. How, just, I guess, outline a little bit of how much change in personnel is happening so that, you know, you're going to be taking that on. Just outline that a little bit.
So from what I understand, and Pascal will correct me, it'll be somewhat a change of, you've got 30% are staying, mostly.
Not more than that.
30% of a crew.
Right.
Of 252 you have?
At 256 we started with. We you know, we came back with 251. I would say about, yeah, she's right, 30% personnel will remain on board. It's mostly junior personnel that will remain on board. Most of the senior personnel will be switched around. The reason is it's just there's a lack of personnel out there a little bit, and then for their posting for the junior personnel, usually they're a little longer.
So the junior rank tend to stay a little bit longer than the leadership piece of it, right? To make sure that everybody gets the career path progressing as it should be. However,
Lynn, I'm sorry for interrupting. I'm going to get you to step back just a little bit. You've come too
So we can
close.
see it. There you go. There you go.
There we are.
So
our viewers want to see you.
yeah.
Okay.
So I got to tell you, 256 people, 251 now. That's a lot of people to manage. That's a lot of human resource issues, a lot of people away from home, a lot of young people even, I imagine, right? There's a lot of challenges there, and they're coming to you. They're coming to you to help with all of those. I know there's a structure in place, but at the end of the day, it kind of comes to you to help solve those problems. Tell us about some of your favorite moments in dealing with the sailors. I guess we'll start with you, Pascal.
Yeah. Well, during the deployment, like I said, I was pretty close with sailors. Like every morning, I got up, well, 5:30 or whatnot, have a coffee, and start walking around to all the departments and talk to people and see how engaged, how that, you know, the morale is on board, how people are. That you know, you have to do that by talking to them. So every day, first place I would go is the operations room, and then knees up, port watch, port side. You know, they were waiting for us. Like I always went maybe an hour before the XO went or whatnot, and then it would be like, okay, we're organizing this thing for the XO, and then we're gonna, you know, catch her off guard, and they were surprising us every day. So just every morning waiting to have the surprise. Okay, what did they come up with today? That's the type of things that you got every day. That's pretty amazing. That you know. You can't wait for every day. So it's not just one thing that happened. It's a daily thing.
Yeah.
Kind of nice.
And yeah, 100%, right. And to know that you're making an impact to the young sailors' lives and you're helping them get through this deployment. I mean, I know that when you're in the moment, both of you forget how much of an impact you might be having, right? Because you're in the moment with them. And that's the thing about the Navy. You're doing it all together. You're all in this together, literally on the ship. So it's really exciting to provide that leadership to them. Lynn, you've got to be excited to be stepping into this brand new crew coming on board. Young people are going to be immediately looking up to you as a new leader. And are you nervous at all about that, or are you at this point seasoned enough to be able to take that on?
so the way I look at it is, someone would say, "Oh, I'm not nervous." I don't think it's true. I've got butterflies for sure. because I'm a human being and I've got feelings. So definitely, I love mentoring. Mentoring is something I deeply love in my job. But the other part of it, which I will keep in the back of my mind, which I already thought of that before even talking tonight with Pascal, is he's, I've got big shoes to fill because I know Pascal, third time, so I know his style. We're different in some aspect, but how we look at people, we're the same. So we both like the morale piece. Without morale, you cannot do anything, in my opinion. So, but having that connection with the crew and hearing what they encounter, this is exciting for me. There's no word which can capture all the emotion and feeling.
Yeah, well, 100%. Now, and I'll throw this question into the middle of the crowd, and either one can step up. But it's from the outside looking in, it is a tremendously exciting time to be a part of the Royal Canadian Navy. You've got new ships on the horizon. Technology is advancing rapidly. Young people are joining that are engaging in different ways. There's so much to be celebrated there. And you are, I would argue, you're not at the tail end of your careers. You're entering into the next phase of your careers where you're going to be leading this institution. Tell me about the exciting times that the Navy has in front of them. What do you see the future of that wonderful institution looking like? That's right down the middle.
Take that one. So I love technology. So anyone who knows me, I use technology for a lot of stuff because I think we have to look out and be innovative because that's what you need in 2021. But this excites me because the people coming in, they may have a PhD, master's degree, or a doctorate. Those individuals are challenging us. So when I joined in 1993, it's not what it is today. You didn't have the luxury to FaceTime your family. You do today. Yeah. So how can you not enjoy this? And that's why I believe in technology personally myself. I love technology because I find technology makes your life easier. But that's the way I look at it.
No, she's right. Technology has changed the Navy completely. Well, for the sailor aspect, our last deployment, well, my first deployment, let's say, we had mail. You wrote a letter. They may have gotten it like 6 months later.
Pascal, you're dating yourself now. You know that, right?
I know. And then we went from emails and everything, and now you got Wi-Fi in the mess. You can be in the middle of the Indian Ocean, FaceTiming your family that are walking their dogs in the park. Like, this is just anytime. Like, this is just amazing, and that's just the beginning, right?
Right. It's funny that you're right. I mean, just that one explanation there. When you join the Navy, you would pull into port, you would get mail. And as Jerry said, that's dating. I mean, kids that are joining now would have no idea what you're talking about. Like, even we're getting mail. I remember getting mail, and I back in the day, the mail would come in the wardroom and it would be laid there on the bar, and everybody got to pick through their mail. And I remember guys getting all kinds of mail. And the only person that ever wrote me was Visa. So I don't know, maybe I was doing something wrong. It's an exciting time for you guys. Now, I want you to tell me, you've both been in the Navy a long time. What's your favorite memory of being in the Navy? Like, if you were to look back and say, my God, that was a fun time when I was doing that, what would that be for you, Pascal?
For me, okay, for me, it's the ports, right? It's seeing the world. Just, it's not one moment. It's like, well, like my first deployment probably would be the highlight because it was new and it was brand new. And we pulled out into Australia, and it was Australia and New Zealand, and it's like every new port that you do is just, wow, I gotta go see it. I gotta go visit. I gotta see as many things that I can see. And then every time you enter a new port, that you've never been to, definitely that's hard to beat. And the sunsets and sunrises, pretty nice.
It's funny you mentioned those. I missed those. Lynn, how about yourself? What's the most exciting time for you in the Navy?
Besides becoming a coxswain, to me, it's quite similar actually. Traveling to new countries is something that I cherish. But what makes it for me very special that I love the most is when we get the chance to make a difference. Like if you help an orphanage, which I got the luxury to do 6 different times in my career. This to me, I love. That's why I joined. I wanted to make a difference, and that's how I can make a difference in people's life. Is having that chance to, just go to a port where you don't know anybody, but you have an orphanage in need. The crew gets together, and either they get a few gifts, or we just repaint the orphanage. There's no price attached to that. And to me, if I get the chance to do that, this is everything to me.
Lynn,
So
you actually have you painted an orphanage? Are you saying that happened?
yeah, I've done that numerous times.
Wow.
I did a modified Christmas for them because they didn't know what the Christmas was, but their parents, they didn't have parents, those young orphans. And some of them at time, one of the trip I was part of, the United Nations had asked us to do something. So for me, that's me. That's what I cherish the most in 28 years is having the chance to give back to people you may not know, but we represent Canadians. And that's why, to me, it matters.
Right. That is moving for sure. You can imagine how those people look at Canada now because of your actions. That's fantastic. Did you both, when you walked into those recruiting centers in Quebec, did you ever envision your life turning out like this?
No,
No.
not at all. The experience and the things I've seen, I never thought I would see it or experience it, which is really amazing. But this is the reason why I joined, wanting to see something new, something different and learn. And we sure did.
Right.
Same here.
Yeah. Now, of course, you don't go through all those years at sea, and you guys have spent a lot of time at sea without having some, bad nights. Without having some bad nights at sea, and and things happen, right? And not to take the podcast down, but what was the kind of the experience that was not the most positive for you? I guess we'll go with you first, Pascal.
Well, there's always the time, like you're dealing with people, anything can happen, anything, something happened to a family member at home and you can't send a member home, or you're in the middle of the ocean, there's nothing you can do about it right away. Or, you're woken up in the middle of the night and it's the padre from the base that's calling you, or the MPs, the military police, or something like that. Then something, bad is coming with it usually, and then it's something that's personal to somebody. So, it's hard to not take those things to heart, and it's difficult to manage those types of crises. But, you get through that. So I would say the people management is the best thing, and it can be the hardest thing at the same time, because the bad comes with the good, but it's so much more good, definitely.
Right. And Lynn, how about yourself?
It's the same thing. For me, the only thing is a crew is a family, right? So if you travel on a road, you don't have connection, but you need help, you're left on your own. While you're at sea, you want to help that family member, which is one of your crewmates, but you're either too far to fly someone out, or you're not able because of the network to connect with home. Those moments bring it real. And that's where, for us, I can only speak for me, at times is we have to look out for out of the box how we can best support that person, but without forgetting then now there's programs in there like Sentinel program, which is a peer-to-peer person. We have to use those programs in order to try to support them in those difficult moments. So that's the way I look at it. It's exactly like Pascal. It just, for me, it's remembering it's a family member. Good or bad situation, it's a family member.
Yeah, definitely when you're having difficulties helping somebody that needs the help, and you want to do everything for them, but there's hard challenges that that are obstacles that prevents you from helping them to the best of your ability. That's very difficult for sure.
It's hard for many people in the audience to understand. When you talk about a family, you're talking about 251 people there, and you look at them like a family. That's hard to fathom for a lot of people, because most people go to work every day and they share a piece of carpet with their fellow employees, and they go home at night and they go out their day and they repeat it in the morning. But what you're talking about is something different altogether. You're talking about a genuine connection with one another, that you want to be there for them when they need you, right? And that's a very strong leadership emotion, I would suggest to you, right? And you're at the pinnacle of it as the coxswain. That's incredible. It's so well phrased by you to talk about your crew as a family. So I want to talk a little bit about where you're physically located. So you're located on the bridge of the ship, but the ship is physically located in Esquimalt, British Columbia. Beautiful part of our country. Why did two people from Quebec choose there?
Most of the time there's no snow. Maybe once every couple of years. There's no slush. There's no snow to shovel. I went to Halifax right after basic training. Nice city, beautiful, lots to do there. But then I did come to the West Coast for my training, for my electrical training, and I just fell in love with the place. It's just beautiful. It's warm in the summer. It's hot. It is an island, but it's definitely hard to beat the nature here. Everything there is to do. So I fell in love with the place, and then I fell in love with my wife, and then I got stuck here.
Lynn, how about you? What was the draw to the West Coast of Canada for you?
For me is at first, like I started my trades training here, and then I went to Halifax afterwards for the remainder of my trades training. And at first I wanted to do like everybody else, go to Halifax because it's close to home. However, they needed a volunteer to stay here, and after I've been to Halifax, said, "Hey, Victoria is not too bad." So I put my name in and I got it. So I never looked back since. I'm open pretty much. I'm flexible, but the West Coast is beautiful weather. There's no, the winter. I tease my parents when they complain about the cold weather. I said, "Oh, it's beautiful here." And that's like coming back and forth with my parents. So I think Victoria is beautiful.
Yeah, so Jerry and I joined the Naval Reserve together when we were 17 years old, and we were sent to do our basic training in Albert Head. You can probably see Albert Head from the bridge of the ship there.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. And so Jerry and I are both from St. John's, Newfoundland. You can just imagine when we arrived in Victoria, British Columbia, we're both looking around saying, no one told us about this place. Jerry, do you want to speak to that experience?
Well, I've told this on another podcast. I remember being on the plane, flying to BC for my first time. I was 17. It was, I think, the last week of March, maybe the 1st of April, something like that, sitting next to a lieutenant commander who, at this point, I didn't even know ranks, but he was in uniform. And now I remember, what he looked like. But he said to me, he said, "I can't wait to get home and mow my lawn." And I looked at him and I'm like, "Mow your lawn?" He said, "Yes, mow my lawn." And I'm like, "But it's March. Like, how can you mow your lawn?" And he said, son, I've mowed my lawn in February in Victoria. And I'm like, so my point being is that I was absolutely unaware of how amazing this country is. And, you know, when it's frozen solid still in St. John's in Quebec, it isn't in BC. So that story I like to tell because it opened my eyes. And that's what I like about the Navy. You know, for me, I stayed in the reserves, but it opens the eyes of the people. And that's why I appreciate you two being on here tonight. It's really opening the eyes of the people that watch this. Hey, Alan.
100%. We're talking to two real Canadian leaders here tonight, and we're proud of that. So, you know, we always ask our guests to leave the audience with a small takeaway, a piece of advice, something that you cherish, perhaps, something that they can, when they're driving home or they're having supper tomorrow, they can think about. And what would that be for you, Lynn? What would that one small piece of advice be?
Be open-minded and be willing to learn, because it doesn't matter if you're in the Canadian Navy or you're a manager or a CEO of the company, because you're never done learning, and people will teach you things then you may not think at the leadership level. So everyone matters, but be open-minded and open your eyes and ears.
Such good advice, for sure. Pascal, now you're on a high now. You've left the ship. You've left the ship better than you found it. You were able to massage a number of COs and XOs. They came in and out, but you stayed the same. You're on a high. You finished this incredible part of your journey. What is your piece of advice?
I got a few pieces of advice. You know, I'm going to miss the people here, but if I had something to say is times are changing. The people are changing. Follow or lead the change. And then if you lead the change, you know, you're going to create something amazing in the end. And then leadership is what we do in our role. Come back in a little more. But what leadership is what we do. And I always tell my chiefs, you know, your subordinates, you work for them. Think that you work for them. They don't work for you. If you make them happy, they will want to work for you. And then that made a big difference in my career.
Right. Jerry, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, Pascal, you hit on it. I've had a 30-year career in business. What the leadership in the Navy, in the military, in business, it's the same. You just need to work for the people that are working with you, not for you. They're with you. But I guess, well, you know, the big takeaway for me, Alan, today is, you know, I've always thought about, you know, when we traveled together, you know, 30 years ago now, it was so much fun to see places and things. But Lynn, you really, really opened my eyes tonight. And this is why I really love this podcast. The idea that the Canadian Navy could actually take their troops and go into a, you know, go anywhere and do like painting an orphanage. Just being, I guess, a Canadians in another land is, it just warms my heart. It's just incredible. Thank you for that. Thank you to both of you.
Yeah, you're true ambassadors for the country, for sure. Lynn, any last comments from you on your experience here tonight? Or I'll tell you, here's what I'll tell you. I've got a young boy 2 levels down in the basement right now. He joined the Navy a year and a half ago at the age of 16. He's waiting to go away for his naval communicator training this summer. How would you like to be in his shoes right now, starting over again? Because I can tell you this, I'd like to be in his shoes.
I'd be excited. Because there's so many opportunities. And now, if you want something, the options are right open to you.
Yeah.
Right? Because the Navy has evolved so much.
Right.
And, you know, there was opportunity when I joined. Nothing comparable to today. So for him, the horizon is right open.
Just be open to it, right? As you say, just be open to it.
Oh, you have to, because right now what you want, you can get.
Right.
It just depends if you want it.
Yeah.
Right. So how can you not be excited about something like this? To me, thank you for sharing that, because to me that just excites me, because I see new personnel coming in and they have all those options ahead of them. It's endless, and I think it's awesome. You know, I'm thankful that RCN is what it is today. We are growing and we're open-minded and we try to do our best, and we'll only going to continue to grow and get better.
Absolutely.
But one thing I want to say before everything is done is thank you for what you do, because that make a difference to us and certainly for me. But also is I get a chance to send my good friend here off on a good note, because at times it's not right out there, but he needs that pat in the back because he made a huge difference, and I'm very proud of him. That's what I wanted to share.
Thank you. That's great. Well, Pascal, so we're going to leave the last comment to you from the ship. How would you like to be 17 years old starting again?
No, that'd be amazing. I remember how exciting it was when I was 19, and I just came in. Everything was new. It's amazing. But like Lynn said, we're moving forward. You know, we're going to get you your vaccine soon, and then we're going to get you to, train you, see the world. So where can you, train, have an education for free, and then see the world, getting paid to do it. Very exciting.
And meet people.
Yeah, and meet people. The people is definitely the best part of things of the Navy or anything. And then you get to know people, and it's just amazing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what another wonderful conversation on Gale Force Winds, talking to two Chief Petty Officers, an outgoing coxswain and the incoming coxswain of HMCS Winnipeg. What a privilege it was for us. Best part about it is, turns out they're real good friends. And the conversation tonight was like being in the mess with a couple of chiefs, and we're just telling stories here. You can imagine how nervous Jerry and I were as a couple of young officers with two coxswains in the mess with us. We wouldn't have been talking like this 30 years ago. I can tell you that the Navy is in solid hands right now. When you've got leadership like that within the ranks, true Canadian heroes, true Canadian leaders and ambassadors for our country. The only thing I can say to end the podcast tonight is the world needs more Pascal Harel and Line Laurendeau. Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Folks.
Okay, so we're looking right now. We're going to start at the forecastle. How's that? So the forecastle is right there, right? You've seen our flag. You've got the gun and the logo on a gun, right? For those who, there's always a logo on each gun for our CPFs. So we're now obviously in preparation mode for the next trip. So we're gonna go on a bridge wing right now. Pascal will be nice enough. He's gonna help me to go outside.
Oh,
you gotta go the other way. So we're gonna go inside here. And we're gonna go to the flats. And we are outside. Look at the beautiful sunshine.
Up the West Coast.
And right across, you see F jetty, the fueling jetty. And we're gonna proceed up forward and Pascal us. And there we go. And obviously when we go somewhere, we always look at the big eyes. So why not having a look to the big eyes towards, I don't know how that's gonna work. It's not gonna work, but the intent was there. And this is the harbor. So you see Regina with the Battle of Atlantic coloring, right, from last year. You've got FMF at the background. And at the back, you're seeing HMCS Ottawa. And you got the base, obviously. There you go. We're gonna walk back in. Yeah. So from here, when we go back in, so on the left hand side, that would be where our bosun mate is staying their watches. Right over here is where the naval communicator would stand. So when you were talking about your son, there you go. Now the first, then if we proceed, so you've got the chair of the EXA. Here is being repaired, so it doesn't look the best. But just to show you how we drive the ship, that's what it looks like today.
Wow.
See, a little smaller, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
I remember when. So if we look back again, then you get to see where we were, but you've got the chair of the commanding officer, which is right here.
Right.
And there you go. That's the bridge of HMCS Winnipeg.
Absolutely perfect. Lynn, Pascal, can't begin to thank you enough for taking time out today to do this with us. Thanks very much for your service to our country. Thanks very much providing the leadership to the sailors, to my son, who's about to, I'm sure you'll cross paths with him at some point. I appreciate everything that you do. We really do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to Gale Force Winds. That's Gale Force Winds, WINS.com.